Marvel's Kevin Feige explains why the sequel took so long, so this one is really interesting. Marvel's Kevin Feige revealed why Deadpool and Wolverine ended up taking so long. The movie is only a few weeks away, and the Marvel spoke to entertainment. And the MCU spoke to Entertainment Weekly about the blockbuster. Basically, Disney's equation went through, but there's just a ton of legal red tape before Marvel was allowed to start making new projects from the studios the parent company brought. Feige himself wouldn't go over the granular details. With Ryan Reynolds, the treat was not being Deadpool again exists. He told EW I sat with Kevin at the time it was just not even possible. That's a sobering thought for the millions of fans who were excited about Deadpool 3 and got their wildest dream when Deadpool and Wolverine was finally announced. I don't want to get into corporate equations, legal laws, or whatever. I don't understand them, but there's a lot of them Feige talked about. It took a long time between whenever the equation was announced to it all getting done. So the characters weren't really in our sandbox for a very long time. And that first announcement happened. So basically he's talking about how even though it took the film so long for them to actually get this film out, they try to figure out whether or not this movie was going to end up being made because they want to make sure that they had rights of making Wolverine and Deadpool as a dream film. It's like a love letter to the fans that really wanted this project to happen in the first place. So the fact that they actually came together and just say, hey, why don't we just make this film happen and just get it right? So it's only right for them to actually just give the fans what they want. And I bet you when this film comes out, it's going to be one of their most successful films in the franchise. And that alone says a lot, especially having Hugh Jackman back as Wolverine in the comic accurate costume. Feige added, the notion that all these years later, we're in a world where Jackman is Wolverine and Deadpool and all of those X-Men characters all together under the same roof is pretty amazing quarter of a century experience. Interestingly, this answer sheds a light on why we may just be getting the word of X-Men projects now. If the same kinds of legal hurdles existed in getting Marvel's mutants ready for the big screen, the information clicks here into place. Marvel Studios hasn't really addressed the idea of the X-Men directly besides some teasers in Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, Ms. Marvel, and X-Men 97. It seems like with Deadpool and Wolverine, things are ramping up in a major way as we head into the meat of the multiverse saga and beyond. I think that's the biggest turn off for me is them being a multiverse franchise. Like, I want them to have their own identity, to stay in their own universe instead of being in continuity. But it seems like in the MCU, it's gonna end up being like that for the most part. But I can't be mad at it. If it's done right, then yeah. Marvel Studios president has had a lot to say about Deadpool and Wolverine welcoming Hugh Jackman back into the fold during last week's episode of the official Marvel podcast. Feige talked about this movie being a full circle moment for him. He got his start on the X-Men franchise as an associate producer. From there, everything took off. So it makes the head man a little emotional to welcome Hugh Jackman back into the fold. Well, basically, just welcoming back in general. Hugh Jackman came on board, it became very emotional on a personal level for me because my Marvel career absolutely started 26 years ago in a pre-production on the first X-Men film, if I can recall. I was a part of X-Men 1 and 2, and really on the first 3 to a certain extent before we had to honor our privilege to become Marvel Studios and developing the MCU. I had not seen Hugh in a while and certainly had not thought about Wolverine or the X-Men as something that we could do ourselves for many years. So it seems like he's talking about how when Hugh Jackman came on board, it was very emotional for him on a personal level because he hadn't seen this man in years. So it's the fact that these two are together again, and for them to actually bring Deadpool and Wolverine to life. And I just know for a fact that the relationship that the two of them had, it seems like they really want this movie to happen. And especially the first trailer we're seeing during the Super Bowl, and the second trailer with Wolverine and Deadpool together, of him wearing a costume, that right there is what brought the camel's back, in my opinion, but in a good way. So I am excited for this film. It's going to be coming out in a few weeks. I'm going to see it with my aunt and my cousin. So make sure you guys be on the lookout for the review of this film, because you know I am a huge Wolverine and the X-Men fan. I always wanted to talk to you all something about what Kevin Feige was talking about Hugh Jackman, of why he didn't get the role of Wolverine when he first auditioned for the character. So I think one of those interviews when he said that when Hugh failed to get the role of Wolverine, he actually took him to a steak dinner on his way out. So he didn't really have to do that, but it was one of those sad moments for me. But I guess that was Kevin Feige's way of being a good friend to him, because even though Hugh Jackman didn't get the role of Wolverine when the movie came out in 2000, that was his way of saying, I'm sorry that you didn't get the role, but I guess that we can work something out. So I guess whatever they did, Hugh ended up getting the role of Wolverine in the X-Men film. And from then on, they went on to make like multiple X-Men projects. Some are good, and some are just downright terrible. But the Logan movie, the Wolverine movie in 2013 was by far the best film that Fox has ever done. So, but when it comes to Deadpool and Wolverine coming out this month, it's really exciting because I really want this film to get successful. And something tells me it's going to end up being just that, with multiple cameos, multiple references, Easter eggs, you name it. It's all there in Deadpool and Wolverine. What are your thoughts on this? Do you think that Deadpool and Wolverine is going to be the most successful film in the history of the MCU? Let me know in the comments down below.